Welcome back to the channel and my final thoughts for game week 27. But just quickly, 78 points, back inside 10k or close to, but a foul triple captain on Gabriel. The triple captain didn't go to plan, but I actually don't think it matters as much as people really think. We've had Haaland spotted in training. Managers probably about to start burning some transfers. For me, this week isn't about the so-called aggression, although I am potentially considering a goalkeeper transfer. I really am trying to protect my structure for dead-end game week 31. So, game week score, I got 78. The rank is now 10,493, but it was from 27k after the first night, which I am very happy that it's closer to getting inside that 10k after the first night. I was very worried, but VVD returns. Obviously, the triple captain from Gabriel was very disappointing. Rewarded with Rice after a couple blanks, and again, hindsight, I always talk about it. Would have been great to have him as a triple captain, but I think many may have hopped off Rice in the last couple weeks and potentially gone for a triple Arsenal defence or some other options, as it is quite stacked in the midfield currently. But yeah, look, it was good to see him return. Look, Timber's one that is definitely scaring me. Not a lot of returns coming out of him apart from clean sheets as of late, and definitely after game week 31 I can foresee me potentially not getting him back in the team, but we will see how it goes after the last couple of weeks. Look, there hasn't really been too much injury chaos. I feel like even this year, a lot of players have remained fit. However, we are going into a time, especially with the Champions League clubs, where we're going back into more of a heavy schedule. So there is going to be rotation risk, and then things to consider is obviously rotation with dead-end game weeks, blank game weeks, and things of the sort. So, look, this core decision is, I really am contemplating a goalkeeper transfer, but again, I really want to quickly just break down the triple captaincy. So, Gabriel only scored 7 points across the 2 game weeks. That is the lowest combined score that he's had if you combine game week 1 and 2, game week 3 and 4. That's the worst combined that he's had across the season. However, my thoughts were, and I'll sort of breaking it down for someone at work today, is if Haaland is a triple captaincy option in a double game week and he scores a 20, if you're to captain him that week, then the difference between a Gabriel triple captain and Haaland is a net negative loss for you of about 13 points, which would be, sort of the 20 minus the 7. So I don't think the triple captaincy is as big as everyone makes it out to be. Obviously, 13 points could end up meaning the win between you winning a league or losing a league, or maybe getting a forfeit. However, look, it wasn't too catastrophic for me. A lot of my leagues, I think I checked what my main one, and the 7 people below me, which I'm fortunate enough to be winning that league at the moment, all triple captain Gabriel, so it didn't hurt me too much in that sense. Look, the real strategic focus for many at the moment is that dead end 31 into that wildcard in 32. Look, I did a bit of mapping out today, and if you can see with my team here, there's 7 or 8 transfers in which I could make. I guess that doesn't include, or it actually is inclusive of the 3 in which that will sit on my bench in game week 31. So at the moment, that's likely to be Haaland, Gabriel, and one other, which is still undecided. The players that I am going to be getting rid of are obviously Chalobah, Guehi, and Enzo, and also Mark Gu, but it's just figuring out the rest at the moment, and then obviously when to move. So I'll quickly scroll down here where you can see Gu there as well. So it's just when to move on these players. Next week looks like it probably is going to be a double move, which I'll touch on in a second. But look, I think being too gung-ho for me at the moment might hurt many. I am considering, however, a goalkeeper transfer, which I will touch on in a second. But I don't think many people are thinking sort of 3-4 moves ahead. Maybe they are. I think a lot of people are just now starting to consider rolling into game week 31. Look, the key players to prioritise for me over the next couple of weeks are getting Kelleher out after this fixture for Burnley. I'm going to be pretty happy to see the back of him, considering Chelsea's defence over the last couple of game weeks. They've just been a pain to watch. And Enzo, I'll be hoping for another blank from Palmer and João Pedro. João Pedro just keeps on having blokes push him over in the penalty box, which has been quite annoying to see, and then Palmer scoring 3 penalties in the last 2 games. So I am hoping for them to blank one more time, but I will also be moving off Chalobah, which, look, I think for many could be a straight swap to Virgil van Dijk, who is already in my side. So I'll be looking to downgrade my defence from a value perspective, hopefully not from a points perspective, going to a Hill or Anderson type. I'm leaning more towards Anderson because of the fixtures at the moment, although Hill has looked to have more sort of attacking and sort of defensive upside at the moment. Look, cheaper defense for me might be optimal heading into game week 31, and you look at someone like Anderson in 31 has Burnley, so that's something that I'm definitely looking to target. Look, outside of that, I think we go into the transfers of who we could potentially look to target. Wilson is already in my side, but again, if we pull this up, Sunderland away, probably at the Stadium in Light, not the best fixture, but from then on out, Tottenham at home, I don't think it's a bad fixture. West Ham at home, a good fixture. Nottingham Forest away, again, I don't think that's a bad fixture. And then Burnley at home. So 4 very enticing fixtures. And again, that's probably ties into why I'm also quite bullish on the likes of Anderson. Look, I think many are looking at that sort of cheaper option with Dango with Brentford's upcoming fixtures, which I can get up here with Thiago. Look, I don't think Brighton at home's I think that's a good fixture, and then you're going into Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves, and Leeds, which is is a pretty incredible fixture run. Look, I was very sold on Dango after, especially that Arsenal fixture where he looked incredible. However, I think I'm now potentially leaning more towards Sharda. I saw FPL Harry, and I did some digging into obviously Dango and being a part of Ramadan, his minutes have been affected in the past. As you can imagine, I don't know how Salah has done it and been able to, and you sort of have seen that being a Liverpool fan, a drop off of performance, and rightfully so, in and around that period. So I'm now potentially leaning more towards Sharda, or even going more expensive and going to Mbumo, someone who I've avoided. So over the next 2 game weeks, that will look like Chalobah, or over the next game week, it will look like Chalobah and Enzo out, either for a Sharda or a Mbuemo, or at this point in time, I think it's going to be Anderson on my end. Look, the last thing that I'm considering, which is a bit loose for this week, is Verbruggen and Verbruggen. As I've mentioned before, that combination isn't working as well as we'd like to at the moment. I think many other managers are experiencing the same thing, and again, with those fixtures coming up, I'm considering a move to Kelleher. I know goalkeeper transfers and transfers in general, I do have 2 free transfers. That'd be 3, but then if I was to make 2 next week with the 2 Chelsea coming out, that would leave me at 0, and the likes of Guehi, Gu, and another Arsenal still to get out by 31. So it would be cutting it fine, and I'm leaning potentially more on the sides of roll, but you could see a late one from me. So as I said, most likely option is to roll. I will quickly go into the side that I've currently got. As you can say, my triple captain has been played, unfortunately, but we've got Verbruggen in goal at the moment with a double Arsenal defence and Chalobah at home to Burnley, which I'm hoping can finally see a return. Liverpool looking at, and probably something that we haven't mentioned enough today, looking at some really good upcoming fixtures, and they're looking to have turned a corner as well. Wirtz, I'm hoping, he's been dodging some points as of recent, hitting the post in the last game and looking quite incredible, so I'm hoping a return. Bruno, I've got the vice captaincy on him. Enzo, last chance, and Rice away to Tottenham as well. Captaincy is on Haaland. I know he's flagged, but it's been spotted in training, and I think this was the plan all along from Pep, to give him that rest and then play him against Newcastle. Look, his record against Newcastle isn't the best, but we will roll the dice. And then Thiago at home to Brighton, which I don't see as a bad fixture either. That bench being Dubravka, Guehi, Wilson, and Mark Q. Somewhat tempted to try and fit Guehi in there somewhere, but again, that would potentially be removing an Arsenal defence or someone in the midfield, which I don't see happening at this point in time, and I think it would probably be quite silly to do so. So, look, to recap, I think I'm going to be rolling my transfer. I think the priority is to start to look at getting rid of Guehis, Qs, and both Chelsea assets at some point, and then sort of closer to 31. And I've seen many also start to look to get rid of Rice as well, but potentially after that return last night, people are thinking differently. So again, would be more than happy to answer any of your questions about how your team's looking, what I could potentially do to offer some advice as to if you've already wildcarded or you're looking at the same strategy as me. If you could please leave a subscribe on the video, that would be much appreciated as well. A like, a comment, anything would help dramatically. And I hope everyone goes well in this game week. It's sort of coming into the crunch of the season, and it'd be interesting to see how those sort of next FA Cup ties go as well, with the doubles and blanks, as that could be season defining, especially if you've got leagues that are sort of being fought within that 50-60 point range. That could be eaten up in that one of those game weeks if people go the right way. So good luck again, guys, and I will see you in the next video.